show based on the epic fantasy series The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. I am not Ryan.
You're not Ryan.
I am not Ryan. But I am Ryan's brother Dan, and with me is Josh.
Hey y'all.
Hello.
I see we've got Mach and Chin visiting us today too.
Yeah, so it feels lonely only having two people on screen, so we'll have Mach and Chin up there checking us out every once in a while.
With the Nike jacket. Gotta love it.
Nike jacket. He looks like a coach on a football field or something.
He does.
You know, kid, you can't coach hard. Hi Josh. How's your week been?
Yeah. It's been good. Summertime. Kids are home. Yeah. Hot. Pulling vines off Florida plants. That kind of thing. How about you?
It is just the two of us right now.
Just the two of us. It's true.
You did promise to sing the first verse.
Hey. No, first line.
Oh. All right, do it.
I just did.
No. I see the crystal raindrops fall.
Oh, well, not the literal first line. Okay. I'm going to have to pull the lyrics up then, because I don't know it that well.
Yeah. I had a great week. I had a great weekend. I just got back from WatCon. It was fantastic seeing all my friends and stuff. Doing a Defense of Gawain panel, which was great. Did a What If panel. And those were both spoiler filled. You couldn't have gone to any of them. And then we did Watchinary. It was great. It was fun. It was really well run for a first time thing. It was really good.
Oh, it was the inaugural.
Yes. So yes, I'm a charter member.
That's fun.
Yeah. But we're not here to talk about that, man. We're here to we're going to get through 3 chapters. It's just the two of us. And the beauty of it all is that we is spending time with you. Is that we're going to whip through. So, preliminaries over, right?
Sure.
Is there okay.
Sounds
We're going to get to chapter 2. The Fires of Heaven. Roniel. It has the dragon on it. And as I was talking with Josh about earlier, this is the first chapter that actually has a primary
point of view. Right.
Well, I wrote down the prior points of view. In the prologue, we had Elida, we had Fane, and we had Ravine. And in chapter 1, we had Min. We had Gareth Bryn. We had High Lady Alrima, and we had more
Altima. Oh, we had more Gace at the very end, right?
At the very end, yeah. So here we have Rand. Rand is in Roniel. He's kind of just striking a pose, looking over the city, putting his arms up, looking at his dragons, and he has 6 clan chiefs that are just kind of lounging around behind him. And they're just pretty much like hanging. He's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And he's like, we're going to wait. This guy said he's probably going to come, so he's probably going to come. I'm sure he's probably coming. Wait. But we just kind of wait. But but before that, as he was looking out the window, whatever, he's seeing that Roniel is just silly with Terrio. Angriel, Terrio, Sir Angriel, Aunt Angriel, Uncle Angriel, little baby cousin Angriel.
All of them.
Turn off your phone, God damn it! I'm just the angry puppet came out. I'm just kidding. There's just so many Angriel, and one of them was the red twisted doorway. They're struggling.
Somebody falls like halfway through. Classic.
Right. But it's weird. It says it stayed upright, turning freely but refusing to tip over, however they manhandled it. What does that mean? It doesn't fall?
Guess not.
That's the technology.
It's the tunnel connecting it to the other universe.
Yeah, weird. So one guy kind of falls in halfway through, and he's like, he just, ah! Hey, help me! Help me! Help me! Man pulls him out and just throws him down on the floor. But that dude is probably gonna. That'd be weird. You see a doorway that this guy goes through, and he doesn't come out the other side. That's some. I don't know. That's freaky.
Yeah, who doesn't, like that shit though? I mean,
I don't know. No, I wouldn't want to move it. Scary magic.
It's like a Laurel and Hardy skit or something, but
right, kinda. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that now. We learned that Reno wasn't actually like finished.
Again, yep.
Like, I didn't remember that. I thought it was ruined, but I didn't know it was.
It was like all the towers finished and like no crenellations, but like halfway constructed sites, basically.
Right.
Like teeth.
Right. No roofs. Just
ended like they were halfway through building a floor and then like stopped mid construction.
Failed, yeah. Huh. So I didn't know about that.
Give me 1 second. I gotta grab something. That was a timer. 1 sec. Okay. I'm still listening here, though.
No, I know. You know what? Pizza waits for no man.
Not if you don't want it to burn. Okay.
Rand sees that. He looks at a Vendosora. It's all burnt up. But Maureen says that it's alive and that it'll sprout again.
It's still living inside.
So,
like most trees in a forest fire.
Well, it is a tree of life. So
yeah, you would hope it sustains.
Yeah. Let's see. So Rand is pretty culturally aware. All the clan chiefs are sitting down on the floor. He sits down on the floor too. There's a chair right there, but apparently chairs are only used by chiefs, and for one of three reasons. One is to be acclaimed as clan chief.
Clan chief, right?
To accept the submission of an enemy with honor, or to pass judgment. And he said, taking the chair with these men would imply that he meant to be one of those three.
Is that judgment, presumably? Yeah, not where you want to be. What do we make of Kadere, a dark friend, being in control of moving all these Angry Owl?
Well, I guess where's he going to go? We heard earlier that...
the idea is that they're going to take him to the White Tower, right? But then we get this passage where Moiraine basically manipulates Rand by being like, oh yeah, I'm leaving, but not anytime soon. Right. Right. All right, I'm just going to go then. He's like, oh, really? She's cool.
Like, well, yeah, eventually. Someday, maybe.
Once you're dead, yeah. I know.
Once you're dead, yeah, maybe before, maybe after. The clan chiefs aren't necessarily all super on board with Rand. They follow him because he's he who comes with the dawn. But it's not like they're friends at all. So Rand is showing his impatience. He's like,
sure.
Well, fuck, what are we doing here? We learned that a lot of these cats went through something called the bleakness. The bleakness was apparently staring for hours. Sitting, staring, looking at nothing, just staring for hours, and then getting up and throwing down your spear and just running?
Right, running away.
What? Is this just like
existential dread? Yeah.
Is this everyone's little peyote trip that either they get through the other side or they don't?
And I mean, it's not like going through the glass columns leads to this, right? Although it's kind of similar to what happens in a way, right?
Right.
We just don't make it out, but this is just from the knowledge of knowing their progeny or where their origin story is, right?
Right. And in fact, to your point, one of the clan chiefs says, someone calls them cowards who ran away. He says, quote, "If you cannot name coward those who died because they could not face it, can you name cowards those who run for the same reason?"
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, they're just all sitting by themselves, staring off.
I think this line's important too. I do not think they know what they are running to, only what they are running from.
Correct. I like that. And as Rand thinks it says, the bleakness. That's what the AL have taken a call the long period of staring before someone tries to run away from being IEL.
Mm-hmm.
Run away from being IEL. And later on, when he's with Avienda, he's going through the Giotto, and he calls that a weird remnant of the way the Leaf, Giotto, and the Gaishan, how they can do no violence for a year and a day, and then they are like complete servants, and then they can go back to being badasses.
Right.
And again, I had never thought of it as being like that.
But now it sounds like many of them, including this woman who Egwene interacts with, are never planning on leaving being Gaishan. That their way of dealing with the bleakness is to reject the way of the Aiel entirely and live in the Giotto reality of being a Gaishan, right?
Right.
So it's like there's more than one way people are reacting to this knowledge.
Correct. And we learned that Shido, there's some of the Shido maidens have gone to Rand.
Right.
Including Melindra. We'll get to her in a minute, though. There is a drinking obligation because the line, followers of the way, the Leaf. I hope everyone in chat has a drink. You guys made the book, So here we are. We're all followers of the way. And so, Karri John's daughter, go to bed. It's late. Let me see. Rand says he has this line here. He's thinking when they were saying, you shouldn't have spilled the beans there, buddy. That's really fucked up. He's like, it had to be told, Rand said, and he thinks they had a right to know. A man shouldn't have to live a lie. Their own prophecy said I would break them, and I couldn't have done differently.
Right.
And again, this is that self-will, the predetermination.
Did none of them ever wonder what the sin was that led them to the threefold land? It's like all of their leaders essentially kept a secret from them of what their sin was that led them to the threefold land.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Everyone wondered what it was, and then when they find out, they're like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Like, I don't know. It's less of a lie and more of a manipulation in some ways of their leaders, right? Who knew this information and decided to withhold it because it's what led you to become a leader, is living through this knowledge.
Right. Yes. But also, the land itself. So they call it the threefold land, and I'm looking for what exactly it is. But one is like, shit. Let me. Threefold land. It's. I'll get to it when I find. I have it highlighted,
but I'm right, that no one knew what the sin was that caused them to be banished there.
Correct. I guess the wise ones knew. I guess
the wise ones knew, and the clan chiefs knew, right?
But yeah, and then so this is like keeping state secrets, I guess. It's like. And I rightfully so, I guess, if this is how they react, I guess if you live a lie for so long that it becomes truth, then how do you sever that truth without it snapping back like a rubber band and hurting you? I don't know.
It's weird that Jiatou, honor and obligation, somehow doesn't include truth.
Go on with that.
Well, just that there's a core of deception at the heart of the Aiel way of life. Deception, I mean, maybe there is for all life, right? In that, reflecting on free will, right? I mean, or...
Well, they have their own set of rules that are their own, such as you can take 1/5 of everyone's shit if you beat them in war.
Sure.
And so to exceed that rule, that arbitrary rule that they have, would cause tow, because it broke what the society, whatever their society is. So,
well, is tow honor or is tow obligation?
I would say, well, I would say honor.
G is honor, tow is obligation, I would assume, since it's called honor and obligation.
Yeah. But G is honor. Yeah.
So breaking toe is an obligation that you fulfill. Their obligation was not just to not ever lift a sword, but to preserve the way of the leaf. That is, at its core, a deception that they are all living from the G is honor. Okay, yeah. So I just think it's interesting that that truth is not held as highly by them as honor and obligation.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm trying to think where we have besides their whole culture being a lie, based on a lie. But overall, I would say that the Aiel are honest people, though, right? Based on Jiatou.
I mean, they don't steal from each other, and they honor. I mean, are they? I mean, they're honorable, right? They don't fight at Ruidian, and they won't poison someone else's watering hole. I mean, but are they truthful? I don't know. I'm not.
Well, cool.
Maybe by proxy of being honorable.
Couladin claiming that he went to Ruidian and got the thing.
Not truthful.
I don't know. I mean, how did he get the second? We don't know how he got it.
We still don't know, right, at this point. Yeah.
He said he ran down there, got it, and came back up with the dawn, and there he was.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah.
But he didn't have the information that would make us believe him. So
I would let an Aiel watch my wallet. I wouldn't let an Aiel babysit my kids.
Okay.
There's a line in here when they were talking about the tree killers, fucking tree killers, right? Wetlanders, tree killers, blah blah. And he says, tree killers are fit for nothing except to be killed or sold as animals in Shara. Are the Aiel slave traders?
Sorry, say that again. Are the Aiel what?
Slave traders? Sold as animals in Shara. Then it says, there was two things the Aiel did. What?
Yep. Anyone who's not one of them. I mean, this is a key paragraph here for me. It struck Rand suddenly that this was the real reason that some Aiel took what he had revealed so hard. To those, it must seem that their ancestors had sworn Gai Shan, not only for themselves, but for all succeeding generations. And those generations, all down to the present day, had broken Jiatou by taking up the spear.
yeah, so Gaishan is kind of like the worst thing you could be in this society, right? They're like the shit haulers, and they don't get to talk. You gotta keep their eyes down. They're essentially volunteer.
But they're also trusted. They're trusted and, in a sense, honored almost for their service. I mean, they're enslaved technically, I guess, but it's complicated.
They're building back. They're building back up their G. They're getting rid of some of their toe. And what's weird is apparently marriages is not that uncommon between male and female Gaishan and those they've been assigned to.
Served, right.
Who, which I don't know. I don't know how
there's a closeness that develops, but that closeness could just as easily be like survivor syndrome or attachment that is wrought through adverse psychology, right?
I mean, there is dating your boss, and then there's dating the person that owns you for a year and a day.
Dependency leading to dependency.
Well, and what kind of agency does a Gaishan have anyway? I don't know.
Yeah, it's complicated. They're complicated people for sure.
They are complicated indeed. Oh man. And I'm doing book stuff here, so I'm not really able to look at the chat so often. So I'm sure you guys are killing it. I found it. So here's the what the threefold land was: a punishment for their sin,
right,
a resting ground for their courage, or a testing ground rather for their courage, an anvil to shape them.
Right.
So it's right in the first thing is right up that sin. Punishment for their sin,
for which they didn't know that they committed.
Shara is the name of a land beyond the waste.
Right. It's the other side, which no one in the two rivers or no one in the west knows about. What's beyond the waste, right?
Not even the IEL know much about it, it says.
Right.
Besides that, they can sell people for just sell people to them, and that's about all they know about it. Gross. They do the traditional IO farewell. That's like, till shade is gone, till water's gone, into the shadow with teeth bared, screaming defiance with the last breath, to spit in Sightblinder's eye on the last day. And Rand's response is badass. You have it there? By my honor and the light, my life will be a dagger for Sightblinder's heart. They're like, all right, good night, kid. This is how I used to tuck my babies in tonight. Well, till shade is gone, till water's gone, into the shadow with teeth bared, screaming defiance with the last breath, to spit in Sightblinder's eye on the last day. Sweet things. And I'd walk away. And then I would play Bjork. I have Bjork is calling right now. Do you want to should I put her on voicemail real fast? All right, let me answer. Hello?
Bjork's calling.
Hello. Bjork, how are you?
How are you?
Bjork, I could not be better. It's good to hear you.
I know.
All right, Bjork, I'm doing a show.
Okay. Hi.
Okay. Bjork is great. Right.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. So all the clan chiefs split. They're like, yep, we're just going to keep waiting.
Dude, I think we got a secret Joe helping us out here. Thank you, Joe.
We got some secret Joe.
Secret Joe. We love you, buddy.
Tons. And I can't wait for next week's show. It's gonna be great. Anyways, more.
So I do the one thing we kind of glossed over that I do want to point out is like I love this like interaction between the two clan chiefs who are like blood-sworn mortal enemies, but then they like have the same thoughts, but they're like unwilling to admit out loud that like
they're all
thinking the same thing.
I was
Classic.
And it's always to talk shit on the other clan.
On the other, exactly.
Honorless dogs. Wait a minute. That's my line.
Glenn, that's harsh, man.
Oof.
We're not entertaining you, huh?
Come on, Glenn. Juggle? All right.
I think it was Bjork. It's that lovely Bjork voice.
It was Bjork. You know what? Bjork is welcome anytime. She's the friend of the show. She loves well time. She's read it 3 times.
Good night, Glenn. Good night.
Moraine and Egwin enter through cool beaded curtains like a hippie. Rand is living his best life. He has the coolest pad. He's like, everyone lays on the floor. He's like, no, come on. It's a grab. Come on, man. I got a hookah. We got wine. And he just floats over wine. You want wine? Beaded curtain opens. Boom. Rand like kind of talks shit a little bit and gets whacked with the power across his shoulders. Turns out it was Moraine. He thought it was Egwin. So fucking Egwin, don't do that. But turns out Moraine did hit him, even though he says, quote, a stick across the shoulder was not Moraine's way. But the quote.
Well, do we really know that it was? I mean, well, I guess Asmodean doesn't have enough power to do it, huh? In theory.
Correct, and we would assume that Rand could see it.
No, he can't. He can't see. Unlike the women who can sense each other's channeling, he even talks about this in these chapters. He can't sense another male's channeling.
Oh, okay.
It's silence to him.
Okay. He does have that cool weave at the end where he's like, "Oh yeah, I just happened to get this like figure out how to block my room from only male channelers."
Male channelers, right?
I don't know. It's just a little something I cooked up.
Walking through a wall of fire.
Yeah. Fire! Moraine and Egwin, quote, looked at him as if butter would not melt in their mouths. That's a cool line. And he's like, why are you here? And he says, quote, and don't mention wagons again, little sister. I usually find out what you mean to do long after it's done. And then later he's like, where'd this little sister shit come from? That's weird. That was weird. It's a good burn, but weird. She's like, yeah, well, let's have some privacy. He looks over. There's Jason Natal, Lumen.
Well, there's a couple of times, right, where he speaks through the words of what's his fuck? The guy who's the reincarnation of, whose name I'm forgetting right now, but
Luce Theron?
Luce Theron, thank you. Yeah, I mean, presumably Little Sister is Luce Theron's words. Just like the mention of
Ilyena,
and Canbriet, which is what causes the Tell to like misplay and like play a discordant tone. That's like one of my favorite parts of this chapter. They'll accept my piece or I'll be buried in the Canbriet. A discordant plunk arose from the harp, and Natal bent over the instrument, shaking his head.
He's all fucking stupid instrument. And then it says, so she asks, what was that? And he's like, just something I heard once. He lied.
Right.
Canbriet, I think they were abandoned in the 70s.
That's just Can, sorry.
It's canned heat.
Oh, canned heat. Yes. Yeah. Also, that's true. But also can. My faves.
So he's like, hey, anything you want to say to the dragon? You can say the dragon's gleaming.
Mhm.
The tail stays with me, baby.
His court bard.
Hey, man, he's like, hey, shh, he's gonna be with me all the time. He's my Yoko. She's like, oh, jeez. Yoko's on the phone. Do you want to hear from him? All right. Hello. Like, all right. That was Yoko.
That's about all out of her. Yeah, that makes sense.
Maureen's like, fine, I'll whip out this seal and I'll flick it with a knife and it's gonna cut. And he's like, oh shit, you just chipped a seal? You shouldn't do that. Don't do that.
And where did the seal come from? It came from the courtyard?
That's what she said. I found this in the square below. It is real though. The one I brought with me from Tyr is the same.
As in they're both fragile now.
That's what I'm assuming. So we learned that three of the 7 discs are broken already. 2 are in Maureen's possession and chipping away with knives. I don't know if we know of the other 2 locations.
Right. So Nynaeve has 1. She has 2. That's 6 total of 8?
It's 6 of 7.
Of 7. So there's 1 somewhere that we don't know.
Right. Did the Shan-Chan get 1?
Oh, did what's his fuck, the captain, have 1?
I think
in his collection.
And it went, I think.
Oh, right, because he mentions that I had 1 of these in my collection, right? When he sees the one that Nynaeve has.
Right, and they're like, yeah, bullshit. And I think I think High Lord Torok maybe took it.
Yeah, Torok took it into his own collection.
So
Torok died, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm not sure.
So the woman who killed Torok, who's the voice of the whatever, has it now, probably.
Well, High Lady Suroth?
Suroth? Yeah, she's the one who we meet in the intro to the last book.
Yes. Rand is the one who killed Turok.
Right, but Suroth took over for him when he died.
Yeah.
So presumably took his collection.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. All right. So we know where all the seals are, maybe. We know 6 or 7 at least for sure. And Rand has a good point. He's like, quote, who can say how effective one is in this condition? We know that the Forsaken are out. And he's like, Jesus, what if one of these seals breaks, then, man, then that's my cue. I ain't ready, man. She's like, all right, we need to know your plans. You're right. You're not ready. She's like, all you're doing is hopping around, hoping and praying.
Hopping and hoping.
Just because you don't know shit. Rand does a cool little trick with his pipe. I like it.
Power to light it.
Yeah, he just has like a little light flying like right above it. So he just all he needs to do is just draw in, and it's gonna light. That's badass.
Definitely badass.
And Rand is like he's like a man now. He's smoking a pipe. He's got wine.
I'm a man.
Lounging with older dudes that are all leathery. Yes. Well, hello, Sherbert. Good to see you, Loss. Top of the morning. They do go through a little bit of
right. Yeah, Rand killed Suroth, not Suroth. Yeah, Suroth just took over for him in his stead in Tyr. Or that wasn't Tyr, in whatever city that was.
All right, we got a couple back-to-back drinking obligations here.
Uh-oh.
So we'll break them up, and this happens in a lot of the early chapters where he relies on certain tropes that he's used before, certain words, phrases. So, one, Egwene folding her arms beneath her breasts, and a stone couldn't be as stubborn. All right, that's one.
Okay.
Folding arms beneath breasts is a drinking obligation.
My beer is broken, so I'm gonna listen, but I'm gonna get another one.
Okay. Second one. The Aes Sedai smoothed her silk skirts, though they did not need it.
Did not need it. Yep.
Whenever unnecessary hand ironing occurs on skirts, which will happen a bit, that is a drinking obligation.
Yep, I can hear that.
And finally, there was an edge to her voice, anger or frustration. At least he was getting across to her that he was no puppet.
I ain't no puppet.
I ain't no puppet. Hey, Maureen, I ain't no puppet. So I don't know why that's used in a derogatory sense, but thanks, Robert Jordan, for the heads up. I mean, in one chapter we have
I do want to,
and we ain't no puppet. So
yeah, I mean, I do want to point out this. Kay had asked about Ilyena and who we thought, or what evidence we had about who her reincarnation was, or who she might be in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this passage here. We'll start with the Ilyena quote. Ilyena never flashed her temper at me when she was angry with herself. When she gave me the rough side of her tongue, it was always because she...
Another drinking allegation.
His mind froze for an instant. He had never met a woman named Ilyena in his life, but he could summon up the face for the name dimly. A pretty face, skin like cream, golden hair, exactly the shade of Elaine's. So that was the first kind of evidence that we have about Elaine being the reincarnation of Ilyena. And it kind of makes sense in the sense that when we talk to Brigitte, she mentions how she always ends up falling in love with the guy who she was with, the ugly guy. Gaiden Kane. And no matter what in their life, their reincarnation, they're drawn together in some way. And here we have Rand and Elaine drawn together. So I just thought that was like some interesting foreshadowing and recognition that okay.
Well, and if Elaine was a country, what would she be? I mean, no, like just say her name as if it's a country.
Elaine?
Yeah. Elenia.
Elenia. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like the same sounds, basically. Yeah, Elenia.
Elenia.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get...
No, it's good. I mean, those are the kind of things, like we get a lot of that between the Camelot mythology, the Arthurian names, and the Nordic gods' names. Like, there's just all this interleaving of like other cultural, our world's cultural baggage and like heritage interleaved through all of this.
Yeah. So are you leaning that Ilyena is become kind of the reincarnated into Elaine?
Yeah, and then in an Arthurian sense, she would be Lady Elaine.
Okay.
Who is, Arthur's wife in the Tales.
Yeah. The Lady Guinevere.
Next time. Yeah, exactly. That's like Dan said. Yep.
Elaine half shook her head before catching herself. How do you half shake your head, Josh? You just turn your head? Is that you just turn once?
One side.
And then what? If you go back, it's a shake, or is it just a little? It's like. I was trying to do a half shake, like, but it turns out it's a whole shake. It's just a small shake.
It's going back to the midline. As long as your nose doesn't cross the midline, I think it's a half a shake. More of like Beavis and Butthead twitching out, but yeah, sure. I just
several objects.
I just drank a Coke, 12 Cokes.
Egwin reminds Rand of all the child abuse. Quote, I can remember Nynaeve switching you till you howled and you needed a cushion to sit on for the rest of the day. Kay. I wish you were here.
Yeah, we miss you.
So that's I mean, Nynaeve beating kids till they need a cushion to sit down all day. Gross. Hi, Dovie. So
Glad you're here.
type of child abuse reference. We're not drinking to that, but thanks, RJ. I guess that's weird. But rough side of her tongue, we're definitely drinking to. Because that means there's a soft
side of the tongue.
I know where the rough side is. It's near the top. Anyway. She pretty much says, Rand, you suck. I should never have told Elaine to hook up with you. I wingmaned you, baby, and now I regret it. You can't even date a weasel, jerk. You were mean to my friend Moraine. She's about to leave. Goblet floats across the room. Rand grabs it from the air. Egwin turns around. She says, oh, by the way, Elaine didn't tell me to tell you, but she says she loves you. Think about that, okay?
About that. So I was wrong. Lady Elaine is Lancelot's lover.
Oh, okay.
Legend. Yeah, sorry. Get it? Lancelot?
Lancelot. Yeah. Huh. So she leaves with that little thing. Oh, yeah. Elaine loves you, by the way. And then leaves.
And then he gets that later from what's her fuck too from
Avienda,
yeah.
Yeah, they're wingmanning so hard right now for Elaine. Like aggressive.
I'm still expecting a three-way at some point.
Well, in Rand's dream, he's fucking them all.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he's like, and none of the dreams were into this.
Yeah. He's like together and separately. Like, yeah, buddy. But here he's pissed. He we jump right into chapter 3, Pale Shadows. He fucking throws that cup. He didn't float it over. It was Osmonia that flew it over. He's like, I told you don't do that. He's like, what's the big deal? Like, they would have thought it was you. He's like, well, what if? Well, no, I looked freaked out. And they're like, are they gonna believe that your gleam can channel and is a Forsaken? Get out of town. Seems stupid, right? And he's like, yeah, that seems stupid. Still,
I like this idea of inverting, where she takes the female work and flips it into the Sidene counterpart. Pretty cool.
Oh, is that how you interpret the? So it says, luckily the shield had been hidden from female eyes too, and the tail called the trick inverting. So it was just it. So define what you think happened again.
So Lanfear used Sidar to shield him, and then inverted it into Sidene, which men can't see anyways. So therefore hiding it from both male and female eyes.
Oh, right on.
I mean, that's how I interpret it. I don't know.
I like that.
I'm probably wrong.
It says he did not seem to be able to explain it himself.
Right.
Oh,
sweetie. And agreed.
Yes. But Rand's like, hey, in theory, I'm a Wilder, and I got like a 25% chance of making it out.
Surviving. Yep.
Rand has leveled up.
But we have seen that Wilder's like, Nynaeve made it, right? She ran the gauntlet. So maybe there's something special about Manetherans, either genetic manipulation long ago in time, or their bloodline, or both, that leads them to be able to wilding their way into a safer passage through the gauntlet.
Yeah. And that is weird because when did they figure out that they needed to start recruiting these girls and getting into training before they all die? There must have been so many girls dying.
But we know that in other cultures, though, all these other cultures that we've met, we've talked about this, have channelers and people who use the one power who don't die without becoming Aes Sedai. So it's not. There's many ways to get to an endpoint where people are safe through this transformation.
Yeah, I wonder if the same thing occurs with the Sea Folk. If those channelers, if
do they all become wind colors?
Yeah, if 3 out of 4 die. I wonder if
didn't seem that way, and it doesn't seem like 3 out of 4 wise women die.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they might die in Ruidian, or they might have died in Ruidian. That is the culling, but
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Maybe it's just soft wetlanders.
Yeah.
But Rand has leveled up. He it says, quote, "You can grasp Sidene every time you try now and tell one float from another. You can shield yourself and the power does what you want it to." Which is much better than Rand flailing around. Rand here, this Rand, if he wants to send his goblet of wine over to him, he can just do it. It's no big deal. He can grab it any time. He doesn't. It's not like, yeah, he's leveled up. Asmodee asks a couple questions. They're discussing back and forth. He's like, "Hey, Asmo, would you go back to them if I let you go?" And he's like, "Fuck no, they ripped my face off."
So there's a character in Magic the Gathering called Asmoda Nomardica Dicindala Koldakar, who's also named after Asmodean the demon, which I love that you call him Asmo. We call him Asmo in the Magic world too. So.
Well, yours is a much more efficient nickname. What was that, 12 syllables?
Yeah, it's a super long name.
Yikes. No, thanks.
How many letters?
Phone numbers.
6, 12, 18, 24, 36 character name. So definitely a lot of syllables in there.
Yeah, Jesus. So they're just talking.
Thank you.
Excuse me. They're talking about linking.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently,
the men can't link without a female's help, but up to 13 females can link before they need help of a male.
Correct. And when they link, they become much stronger.
Right. As we saw in the show with the burnout and the ladies who killed all the Trollocs, right?
Right. That one woman's eyes just totally sizzled, right?
Totally burned right out. Or two of them died, right? I guess there were 5 who were joined.
Yeah.
Or 3 of them died. Yeah, 3 of them died.
And then Egwin was brought back.
Right.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, that was a good scene. So yeah, but men can't. But they can link with a woman there, and Lanfear. He's like, yeah, maybe Lanfear should have been around so she can link with us. She wants to train you, but she doesn't want to train you. She wants you to stay weak. There's a line here that says,
I still don't really understand. I mean, the whole like we talked about last show with and yes, I did, Iris. I mean, I did pronounce the name too, but Well called. We talked about this last show where, like, what exactly is it that Elida wants with Rand? How would the Red have treated him? Would they, I mean, don't they know he needs to be powerful in order to win? And if they don't train him and they hold him under their thumb, how does that lead to him becoming empowered and successful at the last battle, right? So there's a little bit of a contradiction in terms at the very ideas of how the Aes Sedai approach the Dragon Reborn. And we don't see this in other cultures, right? With like the Sea Folk, there's no sense of them like repressing him, right? Or even with the Aiel, right? Like he who comes with the dawn is meant to be celebrated as the Karakarn, not squashed under their thumb so that he can't become powerful. So we see Rand fulfilling all of these like multiple cultural memes, but really like archetypal personalities. But only the Aes Sedai have this notion of like quashing him under their power and directing him to, I don't know. Interesting.
Well, but we should recognize the role that the Aes Sedai have had since the breaking. There's a red Aja design solely to
Nice DK, yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
There is an Aja dedicated to controlling men who can channel. Men who can channel have historically just been, it doesn't end well, except for this one, right?
Only since the taint, though, on the power.
Before
that,
which is
right,
the breaking, yeah.
Right, so.
Yeah. But the Aes Sedai, like I don't know if there were even Ajas before the breaking. The White Tower.
Yeah. Ajas. Yeah, they were just all Aes Sedai, right? Yeah, they weren't necessarily the Ajas separated by colors.
Right.
And
why would there be a red Aja before the breaking, anyways? Because the men weren't crazy.
Presumably, only the Ajas emerged as a byproduct of the oaths, the 3S.
The Ajas were a byproduct of the 3 oaths,
which also didn't exist prior to the breaking. We know that because they shortened the Aes Sedai lifespan, as we learned about in the previous book.
Right. That's what one of the Forsaken said. I think it was Mogideon. Right. I never thought of them being a byproduct of the 3 oaths.
I think that they are. I think that they're a byproduct of the restriction that the 3 oaths breed on the Aes Sedai themselves. That's my interpretation, but again, probably wrong. It's
funny. I just thought of it now that we have 7 seals. We also have 7 Ajas, and those seals are supposed to be focuses of the. It's really esoteric.
Oh, so maybe the fall of the tower and the dissolution of the unity of the Ajas has led to the weakening of the seals.
Right on.
I mean, I like that idea.
Yeah,
it's a good explanation.
Yeah.
Again, probably way off base, but it's an interesting idea.
So Quaindar can only be destroyed from within. Well, look at us, Josh. We solved it. Yay. Let's get to Matt, and then we can probably take a little break.
Fire, earth, air, water, and spirit. So how do 5 combine into 7?
7/3. It's pi.
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
5, right?
7 is a prime, right?
So we know that find out from Asmodean that Grendel was in Eridomon for a time. He doesn't think she's there anymore. He thinks that Moghedien is or was in the west somewhere as well. Ravian has a queen for one of his pets, but your guess is as good as mine as what country. We know that country is Andor, correct?
We do. And presumably Matt knows that intuitively, but hasn't shared it, or doesn't have knowledge of it, but presumably has an assumption about
Correct. He knows that there was a hit put out on by Lord Gabriel. And Samael is in Ilion.
Right.
Damodred's went over to the Shadow because he envied Lews Therin. Asmodean went over because he wanted immortality and he just wanted the jam never to end. He just wants to jam and jam and jam.
Jam and jam and jam.
Doing like an Allman Brothers, like a 40-minute jam with Jessica. I love it. That's kind of I'm down with that. There's Taint and Last Battle talk. He's like, "Hey, do you think Asmo? Do you think I can win the last battle?" He's like, "Well, there was that one thing in the courtyard." He's like, "Oh yeah, I broke it. Forget about that fucking thing." He says, "Quote, then the Dark One will consume you alive."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, you just come on. Why'd you do that? That was dumb. That was your only hope." And he's thinking about the Taint. He's like, "What if there's a way to like?"
Yeah, I love this part. Like, is there some other method to shield from the Taint, or to keep the Taint from? Presumably, if the Taint was added by the Lord of the Great Lord, and I'm going to use that term from now on, since you all know I'm a Black Aja.
The Great Lord, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay,
I'm just going to call him the Great Lord from now on, since we know that's what I need to do. Since the Great Lord created the Taint as theoretically with the power, in theory there should be some way to reverse it with the power, right?
He also says that if that strand, if the Great Lord was protecting him, then there has to be a way to mitigate it somehow. But he's also like, well, fuck it though. If Asmodean's really smart, and if he's really old, and if he doesn't think there's a way, then there probably isn't.
But they're also the weakest in terms of this particular thing, right? Because they've always been shielded by the Great Lord's connection. So in a way, they've never had to wonder or think about it. Why would he know? In some sense.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, he got captured as soon as the Taint happened, right?
Right.
So yeah, he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know that. He never watched The Sopranos. He was tucked away in the Great Lord's prison. He didn't. He has no idea what Seinfeld is. Jeez. Let's see.
Maybe we're in the Seinfeld universe, and it's like how they never make it to LA to put on their show.
Oh,
because they get arrested.
Is this one? I thought it was how George suddenly becomes a vice president by doing nothing.
Nothing, exactly. Yeah.
Let's see. There's a little parable about a guy who's clinging onto rocks and grabs his little tuft of grass. And the grass, he knew it was going to fall. Hi, Dan Lou.
Dana Lou.
And I thought, that is a metaphor for what Asmodean is doing with Rand. Rand is his little tuft of grass that otherwise he's plunging into either dark, the Forsaken Territory or the Great Lord.
Right.
So it is symbiotic. He certainly doesn't want Rand to get hurt because that's his protector. I mean, kind of. You would think.
Right.
So Rand's like, all right, we're gonna go. I'm out. You stay here. I'm gonna put this ward around so you can't leave. You're gonna burn up if you try and leave. You can use my bathroom. Don't leave this room.
You can use my bathroom.
Don't go into.
Well, as it turns out, this is really his room, right? I mean, Rand's room is in the house of the maidens.
Correct. But it's his room. It's the room that he has his meetings at because the maidens are everywhere. They're like mice. And he goes over to the maiden house. It's called the what is it? The house, the roof of the maidens.
Roof of the maidens, right? Who's the roof mistress of the maidens?
I'm not sure if we've been introduced to one yet.
I don't think we have. Do only holds have roof mistresses, or do the societies have them as well? That is what they are, right? Clan versus society.
Clans and societies, correct. Right. So the Shido is a clan. The maidens
are a society.
Yes.
Right. As are the Stone Dogs and the other one that he mentions.
But they'll call Sept. I think Sept is also clan.
Sept is clan, right? Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Wait, Iris Bear says that they're three different things.
Sept?
I thought there was only two: Sept and clan and society.
Okay.
I don't know though.
Yeah,
maybe Dana Luke can probably fill us in on this one.
Sept, clan, society. Anyways, we'll get the lowdown on that. So he leaves the room after setting the trap, and that's that. It goes into Matt.
Yep.
But I need some water, so I say we take a break right now, and then we'll get into Matt's point of view if that's cool. Is there anything that I missed about Rand that you wanted to bring up though?
Just the Guy Sean marriage that you mentioned already earlier in the show.
Yeah, one or two maidens are marrying a day, or
yeah, love is in the air, as it turns out. This whole suspicion of Asmodean about Lanfear and Rand concocting their plan together is kind of interesting. I don't exactly know how to take that or where to take it to, but
so yeah, if you're teaming up to do this, then she is gonna win. All right, all Septs have roof mistresses. Societies are separate, so there's no roof mistress
for a society. Okay, but it is called the roof of the maidens or whatever, confusingly.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, brother Zach. Busted. Yeah, I think that's all. I mean, I love, like I said, when we were talking before the show, I love this book so far. I think it's super interesting, and I've been really enjoying it. I mean, it is a little weird, the kind like we talked about in the pre-show, the kind of reminders that happen throughout the story, which it was revealing that we looked at the time between the publishing of each novel, and I do think that's a part of it. But this only being a year between book 4 and book 5 means hopefully people haven't drifted too far away from the series, but a year is a long time in the real world. So, or at least it was before COVID.
Yeah. Sorry, my screen had frozen. I was like, oh no, I hope it's not.
Nope, all good. All right, well. All right.
With a chuckle, turn your hopes to ash.
Don't.
Love it. There we go. That's more like it. Guys, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad everybody's here.
Had to get a quick water. Had to do a quick pee. Everything was quick. For you
I got my
guys.
brain food.
Yeah,
My brain's not like running on empty.
Running on empty. Whoa, whoa. Running out. Let's jump into the Met chapter, shall we?
All right, Secret Scroll. That sounds cool. I'd read that. Lovecraftian pirate adventure.
Ooh, so I mean, that's not going to end well.
Well, no.
Pirates.
I mean, well, not for who? For the pirates or?
No, I mean, because there's going to be a Cthulhu or Leviathan.
For the Emrakul or fucking, whatever.
Yeah, something
coming out of the
giant
gate.
and enormously hideous was going to melt brains or destroy ships.
Secret Scroll, have you read China Meeville novels ever? If not, you should check him out. He's a cyberpunk author. Very, very, very cool worlds he develops, kind of along the lines of Lovecraftian
Pirates,
horror pirates. Yeah, some of them are like totally fucking weird and blown out, but yeah, super cool.
Well, right on. Secret Squirrel, I hope you're taking notes, damn it. Guys, and like and subscribe. I'm supposed to say that stuff, So like and subscribe. We have a Discord. We have a Twitter.
Please.
We have a Patreon. We have all kinds of things. So
pump that like button.
Pump it. Matt is juicy on Usquai. He's juicy as fuck.
It's flying high.
He's singing songs that they haven't sung since like Arts of Hawkwing beat people up, and he's just fucking he's feeling good. He's just singing cool songs. He's singing a song like about some Randy, a housewife that wants to get all with the Tinker in the kitchen with a job of work to do. Mistress up above, slipping on a robe of blue. She dances down the staircase, her fancy also free, crying, "Tinker, oh dear Tinker, won't you mend a pot for me?"
What's up, FartVader?
Hello, FartVader.
And singing a song just for you.
Yeah, just for you. Will you mend a pot for me, FartVader? And he switches that because they're like, well, hey, why are you singing all about death? And he's like, what? This Jack of the Shadows? Oh yeah, I guess it is kind of fucking weird.
It is kind of dark.
They're playing a game. They're playing a fucking redneck ass game. Hey, I'm gonna throw this piece of wood up, and you're gonna throw your knife at it, and we're gonna.
I believe it's called a Shufa neck game.
These Shufa neck motherfuckers. So they're drinking. They're doing the equivalent of drinking and throwing bottles up and shooting them. And Juicy Matt, is like, shit. My grandma could do this shit. I'm gonna do it blindfolded.
I think we should call him Moist Matt. For the alliteration.
Moist Matt. I like Juicy. Juicy is fucking fun to say.
He's juiced, but he's moist.
All right, Moist Matt. He's juiced.
He's squeezed.
So he's like, I could do this shit blindfolded. He didn't even bet. So Josh, you had a theory that Matt's luck came with wagers, but he says specifically, quote, he suddenly realized he had not even made a wager.
Had not even made a wager, right? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the wager was whether he could do it. I mean, there was still something at stake, right? his ability to do it or not, his honor.
Okay.
There was a stake, even though there wasn't a bet.
Okay.
I mean, but yeah, that's interesting.
He says, drunk.
Nothing was on the line.
Not drunk. I'm juicier than a fiddler's whelp. What the fuck? What's a fiddler's whelp? Is that a kid of a fiddler? Are they all drunks? Are all little kids from? Right? Whelp is the offspring, right?
I think so.
Are fiddlers' kids drunk? I don't know. Guys in the chat, what's juicier than a fiddler's whelp?
Fiddler's whelp.
There you go. But he does feel his luck come. He knows he's going to hit it, and he does. I don't actually understand what Corman did. I think
A whelp is a puppy.
A puppy? Oh, I thought it was. Well, I thought. Can whelps be offspring? Just any offspring?
Generic offspring. Sure, if you want to stretch it, why not?
That's how I was. I didn't know it was a dog. He was talking about a drunk fiddler's dog. Or that doesn't make fucking sense at all.
Fiddler's dog, one lapping the beer pan. Lapping the beer
than
pan.
a fiddler's whelp. Well,
Fiddler's puppy.
Well, who knows? Oh, Dana Lou says yes. Whelps can be offspring. We have
Dragon offspring are called whelps. Okay.
So is that Matt leveling up now too? Him not making a wager and still winning?
I don't know. Maybe.
He says luck is a horse to ride like any other. But what do you know? He says that shit in the old tongue.
Oops.
Why that happens? It says so here. It says, "quote He could remember clearly leading the flanking attack that turned the Trollocs at Megonde and dancing in the court of Tamranwidawin and hundreds of other things, 1,000, mostly battles. He remembered dying more times than
this is great.
wanted
Yeah.
to think of.
And this makes sense in terms of what the Fox people trade.
It says no seams between lives anymore. He could not tell his memories from the others unless he concentrated.
Right.
All right. Now go on.
I mean, we just know that what they peddled in, what the Fox people and whatever peddled in was extreme experience. Right? The height of one's life. So it makes sense that like devs would be what they filled him with, right? Which is sort of like the most intense experience that a life can have.
How would they have access to? So let's say Matt goes. Will they have access to Matt's death?
Well, there's two groups, right? There's
when you're dead, you can't go into the doorway. You're
right,
alive.
right. The first folk dealt in like intense experience, and the second folk bartered. Fuck, now I'm getting confused.
The first gave answers.
Right, but what they took from you was the memories of your most intense experiences.
Yes, like your emotions.
The savor, yes,
savor,
exactly.
The savor, yes.
The savor.
So intense. Oh god.
Yeah. So, where did they get the memories of heroes dying?
Right.
In the other doorway.
By the way, and when you have memories that that blend between each other, there's no seams between lives anymore, and you have died more times than you can count.
Yeah, well, that's the important part, right? How does that affect you?
Yes.
Since no one remembers their own deaths. I mean, presumably.
No, that's gonna be horrible.
Okay, here's a theory.
You get on a
maybe
horse,
maybe they're accessing the past lives of those who traveled through the doorway. Maybe the deaths aren't of the individual who traveled, but rather the memories of the deaths of their former lives who they've been incarnated as.
Huh. Okay, kind of like the Viridian rings, or the pillars that Rand steps through, like where like the ancestors themselves. Is it something like that?
Yeah, or more like the memory of your avatar, essentially, like the memory of the incarnate being that you are that came before, right? Like how Brigitte can remember all of her former lives when she's in the TAR. Maybe they're accessing. I mean, one way to interpret this would be, okay, similar to Matt died in the hands of. Remind me the aliens' names. You don't have to agree that they're aliens, but the people who are through the two doorways.
There's the Aelfin and the Eelfin.
Right, the Aelfin and the Aelfin.
One are snake-like, and others seem to be more.
Right, so the first ones, and then the second one. So Matt died. They killed Matt before they brought him back through the doorway. What if during that death, they accessed all of the memories of the lives that he had lived before? Because at that moment, he existed in a way that allowed them to access it.
Interesting. We don't.
So
know
they could have.
We don't know what price Matt paid, right? All right.
Good night, Village Mattress.
Take care, Chris. It's good seeing you, mate.
We don't know the price that Matt paid. What do you mean?
So it says when he went in, he went into the doorway and says these three things. I want this. I want this. I want the holes in my memories down. I want to away from the one power, and I want to get out of here.
Well, when Rand finds him, he's dead. Essentially, I mean, maybe not entirely.
Well, that's a question. Do you think he died?
Close, if not entirely. I mean, Rand does first aid on him and brings him back to life, right?
Pretty much.
So I don't know. But regardless of whether they took Matt's memories or not, anyone that they could have killed, they could have, in theory, accessed all of their archetypal memories that came along with their personality, right?
Right. Okay.
And then pass those along. Totally. Just going out on a limb here, just thinking about it out loud. But
yeah, the idea that he is remembering his past deaths, it means that they.
Well, they aren't necessarily Matt's past deaths. They could be any. They're just the memories.
Memories, sure.
Right.
But it means to me that the Aelfin or the Eelfin are like pretty much have just a hard drive. They plugged into the memory capacitor.
Right.
And has a constant feed maybe that goes all the way to death. I don't know. It's okay.
I mean, this goes along with the concept of like an Atman, right? Or an Atman in Buddhism, like this kernel of identity, soul, so to speak, that is that thing which reincarnates in Eastern philosophy, right? So I guess what I'm imagining is that the Aelfin, because they're outside of time, they're outside of the normal rules of this universe, are able to access, similar to Brigitte within the TAR, the atmonic memories of individuals who they've killed or who they have in their power. Okay. Anyhow, we can move on from this. It's just a theory, but
no, I like it. I mean, and that's always the drag about reincarnation to me is that what's the use if you don't remember what you did before? I mean, I guess on a subconscious level you're supposed to, or on a karmic level you're supposed to, or on some sort of spiritual level you are supposed to remember or have this ingrained life reoccurrence. But man, I mean, I like my kids, I like my wife, and I certainly would hate to think that I'm going to go live again and not know them. You know, so like that, I'm all, yeah, that's a drag. You know, we should remember. It's like a Truman Show, or not the Truman Show. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where his wife can remember everything. I'm like, I don't want that.
So the Old Tongue inscription on the spear kind of touches on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thus is our treaty written, thus is agreement made. Thought is the arrow of time, memory never fades.
What was asked is given, the price is paid.
But memory never fades is the important part here, right? That there's this permanency of the archetypal memory of each soul, so to speak, that exists through time.
Mm-hmm.
Like we see with Brigitte, like we see with her partner, etc. Right? Rand remembering Ilyena and having thoughts of Lews Therin.
Correct. And saying little sister, weird shit like that.
Right.
Are we gonna see this with Perrin?
Maybe. Maybe.
Okay.
Or Mat. Other than Mat, yeah, maybe. Have we seen it already? I'll think about that.
Okay. Cool. We got so everyone kind of splits. Matt gets his knife back, and he hears a voice say, "Can you do that all the time?" She's like, "What?" He's like, "What?" It's like she said, "I'm Melindra of the Jumai Sept. Can you do that every time?" Meaning throw the knife. And just and he's like, "Yeah, most of the time." It says truthfully. He gives her like this awesome necklace that's all like has sapphires and stuff. He's like, "Here, take that. Looks pretty on you." And she like kind of, you know, doesn't quite take it right away and says, "Okay, you know, I accept your offer."
Mm-hmm.
And then she kind of hits on him a little bit, but then he's like, "Oh, there's Rand with the maidens. I'll be right back." Pew. He leaves all this shit. He goes up. Pew. He's like, Rand, Lews Therin, and Rand's like, "Yeah." Fuck. He's like, "You wacky dude." But he was as always. Rand is surrounded by maidens now. Everywhere he goes, he's got a gaggle of maidens, a fist of maidens, a school of maidens. He has a herd.
A murder.
He has a murder. He has a conspiracy of maidens.
If they were men, one might call them a podcast of maidens.
Podcast. Okay. All right. So that's where we're going with. So Rand is walking around with this podcast of maidens. And Matt's a little apprehensive because he knows a couple of them. One of them
he's misspoke to a few of them. Yeah.
Right. And so this is a drinking obligation. It says, quote, "Who would have expected a woman to go up like oil thrown on a fire just because you told her she was the prettiest little flower you had ever seen?"
Oops.
Right, Matt? I mean, who would get mad at that? Right? You meant so well, Matt. Well, aren't you the prettiest little flower I've ever seen? Slap! Love it.
I love this little bit here. "I don't try to tell you to come or go, Matt. The wheel weaves the pattern, not me, and the wheel weaves as the wheel wills." And then there's this other section, I forget, is it in the next chapter? Where Rand reflects on, or someone reflects on TAVERN. Oh, I guess it's right here. Prophecies. Right. Before any of them learned that the prophecies had anything to do with them, they had learned that Rand was TAVERN. One of those rare individuals who, instead of being woven willy-nilly into the pattern, instead forced the pattern to shape itself around them. Matt knew about being TAVERN. He was one himself, though not as strong as Rand. Sometimes Rand could affect people's lives, change the course of them, by just being in the same town. Perrin was TAVERN as well.
And that's funny. He's like, so Rand did not weave the pattern? He came close.
Right. But I think this is interesting that we get this little triage here of like into what this is. And again, I think all of this is so interwoven, no pun intended, of like free will and the push and pull of TAVERN-ness and the pattern versus the decisions they make and the life course that they lead.
I agree. Because Matt is pretty much asking permission to go, and Rand saying, "Do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not holding you. The pattern is, if anything." He's like, "Well, shit. I don't know." I like that though. So Rand didn't weave the pattern. He came close. It says here, quote, it was supposed to be a grand thing. All the TAVERN Matt had been able to learn about had been men like Archer Hawkwind or women like Mabriam El-Sharid.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have women TAVERN. This, I think, is the first time that we officially have heard that, correct?
I think so.
So... so he's like thinking about TAVERN, and then Melindra. Matt should be bruised by how hard she's hitting on him. He has a black eye. He's like, "Ow," you know, bloody nose, because she is throwing everything at him, and starts whispering in his ear. And quote, first he asks,
daughter of the Nine Moons.
Does that mean anything to you? She says, "Nothing, but there are things I like to do by moonlight." Oh, he's bleeding again. Putting an arm around his shoulders, she took off his hat and began to whisper in his ear. In no time at all, he was grinning even more widely than she.
Both this chapter and the next one end with some sexual innuendo, basically.
Sexual innuendo, indeed. And the next chapter ends with dreaming, which
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we get Rand and Matt both having their experiences.
But chapter 1 ends with Morghese sleeping and having a dream.
Right.
Chapter 4 ends with Rand sleeping and having a dream. So, that's a good way to end a chapter, is to go to sleep and have a dream. Let's jump into chapter 4. It's called Twilight. It's a great movie. As Team Edward, Team, what was the other guy? Vincent? No, Team Murray? No, Team.
Yeah, where do we learn about this? It's like the pattern essentially bumps people into a position where they have to make a decision. Where like Matt, he couldn't decide to leave, but when the TAVERN is not around, in theory, their lives follow whatever course they choose, right?
So is any pull to Perrin pretty much severed if he stays in the Two Rivers, and if Matt and Rand kind of stay in the IO Waste? Is that too far?
I don't think so. I think the pattern was it a moist stream? Exactly. My impression is it has nothing to do with space, but that the physical distance doesn't matter as far as the pattern is concerned. But maybe it does. Okay. It does say affect by being in the same town. So, but that's Matt's impression after seeing what happened, right? So does he think that Perrin is free from Rand's effects now that he's far away? His own TAVERN-ness can then affect his life more so than the gravitational. This is where I again think about it kind of like gravity, right? Like their proximity to the whirlpool of Rand's TAVERN-ness is what sucks them into his story, into playing the role they need to for the pattern to lead to the next thing that it needs.
That does seem how it works. He walks through towns and shit goes wild.
Right. But why did those people need to get married? What does that have to do with the pattern? Or is that just the effect of his... Is that just an effect, a byproduct of him affecting the world in some way? As like, it's hard for me to connect that series of marriages from Rand going through the town to that being a part of the pattern.
Right. Well, maybe let's take it. Let's pretend that a TAVERN influence is like a pebble into a pond.
Yeah, or like a gravitational field, right? Bending the fabric of that which is around them, causing an orbit, right?
Right. And so, the center would obviously be the most impactful, or the most.
But the thing that I'm saying is the physical proximity leads to an affect. Mm-hmm. But is that affect necessarily a part of the pattern? That's where my question lies.
Oh, okay.
Less so than whether or not proximity is the thing that causes an affect.
Right. Does someone need to fall off a chair and break their arm? You know, while another guy falls off like...
Or for the murders to happen, right? You know, like all the weird stuff that we saw while following Rand through the previous books. But maybe he just didn't... Maybe he wasn't centered in his role yet. Maybe now that he is accepted the harness, shouldered the burden of being the Dragon Reborn, maybe now the pattern follows more of that story. I don't know. Yeah.
And it might be that in correcting stuff that the pattern does, it minimizes things on the outskirts, but where it hits it, that's where shit gets funky. You know, and TAVERN is where it hits, I guess. Yeah. Just a tomato hit your town.
Good question.
Tornado. Was there anything else about Matt that we wanted to talk about?
Let's go on.
Okay. So Rand gets to the roof of the Maidens. It's his house. He picked it. He had dibs. But one day, what do you know? It says, quote, "It had not been the roof of the Maidens then, of course. One morning, he simply awakened to find it so. Maidens in every room on the first 2 floors and their guards on the door." It goes on to say, in fact, they were ready to move the roof wherever he went. Just how it's going to go. Let's talk a tiny bit about Guy Shine a little bit more, because there is a profusion of Guy Shine moving around. This place is silly with Guy Shine. What? So is Jito that easy to fuck up? Like that? I mean, it seems like half of the people here are these slaves or servants. Sorry, I don't know. It just seems weird. There's a profusion of Guy Shine. That seems like a lot, right?
I have a tickle of a sense that the Maidens, by virtue of their mode of being in the world, are more likely to create a Guy Shan than other Aiel.
Well, do they create them, or does the Guy Shine?
Guy Shan are created by a failure to do the right thing in the cultural tradition of the Aiel. In battle, right? Like lifting a knife and having it taken from you.
Right.
Which I think the maidens are more likely to be put in situations where Gaishan are created by virtue of their modality of life, and therefore have more Gaishan serving them. Because it's right? Gaishan serve a particular Aiel.
That's what it seems like.
So I think just their way of being leads to them having more servants because they are what they are.
Do we assume that most of the Gaishan under the roof, the maidens, are maidens?
I don't know.
Yeah. And I guess it doesn't matter. Once you're Gaishan, you can't even... You're shit.
Right.
You're garbage. You're human. You're nothing. It's gross. And there's a profusion of them.
I mean, there are male Gaishan in there, I think.
There are. So now the Gaishan would have to go to the maiden and say, I have toe. Right? And I don't think that the maidens could say, bro, you got toe. I don't know how it works. I don't know if you can, like...
I think they can put them in a position where they either die or submit as Gaishan. Right? It's like an alternate to being killed.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess. But we also have where, well, that's in another chapter. No, you read that one, though. Well, no, we have where, I don't want to get into it. I don't think it's on this chapter.
Okay.
But there is talk of toe and G with Egwin. So we'll get into that. I think that's next week.
Isn't it at the end of...
I don't remember. I don't want to break it.
Maybe I'm getting mixed up.
Yeah. So no, he's in his room. He's chilling in his room. Asmodean.
Oh yeah, it ends with Matt here, or with Rand here. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
He thinks a little bit more about the taint, and that's when he says, "If Asmodean didn't know a way, it probably did not exist." But he's like, "It has to. There has to be something. I was not going to just sit and wait to go mad and die." But it says, if his bonds to the Dark One had shielded him from the taint on Sidene, there had to be another way to do it, or to cleanse it. So he's thinking taint. He's thinking Moraine. He's like, fuck, I didn't want to tell Moraine my plans. Oh, well, I got to control my shit. And then Avienda comes in. She has a pretty new necklace.
Gets jealous.
Rand gets a little pang. Like, what the heck? He's like, I gave you that bracelet. He hadn't seen her in 10 days. And he's like, I missed you. In fact, he sent her flowers and shit. 6 times he sent her flowers. She didn't talk about it. And then talking about that Giotto shit again. You know, it's hard. He doesn't understand it. Let's see. So she's like, all right. Drinking obligation. She folds her arms beneath her breasts. All right, that's a thing. And then she regards her gift. She's like, you said this isn't a regard gift. You said this. You said it didn't mean nothing. He's like, yeah, I guess. She's like, well, this doesn't mean nothing either. And she gives him an awesome silver belt buckle in the shape of a dragon. Said it was ornately made in good steel and inlaid with gold.
Made from her own spears.
Made from her own spears, her own knife, her own arrow tips, her own everything. And the wise one said, all right, they had to melt it down. He said, you pick 3 people you hate the most, and you make them something. Rand's like, well, am I one of the ones that you hate the most? And she's like, yes, I hate you with all my heart. I hate you so much. I want to barf every time I want to see you. I just want to claw my eyes out so I never fucking see your face. You, God damn you. I hate you so much. And he's like, well, all right, why don't you just go? All right, I'll just have the Wisemans have someone else spy on me. She's like, no. She has toe to Elaine. She's like, I said I said I was doing it. I got to do it. It's my obligation. That's how it works. So he's like, yeah, you belong to her and no one else. Remember that, asshole. He's like, oh, God. That's got to be such a broken record. Every time, like, you're surrounded by women. I mean, and then there's one that's like, you can only look at Elaine. No. He thinks on the letters. He's like, one letter is like, she wants to fuck me all day, all night. The other letter is like, I'm a dick and she doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I mean, that's essentially what those letters seem to be doing. He says, I kissed Elaine a few times and I think she enjoyed it as much as I did. If I do say so myself. Yeah, she was into it, Amanda. I mean, there's no way she didn't enjoy it. And he's like, I didn't promise to no one. All I did was kiss her. All right, second base. Well, okay. Third base, you're right. It ran got to third base. It was just stuff above the clothing, though. Well, that's probably only second base, right? No, that's got to be third base. Touching over. I don't know. I won't get Speaking of gross, in comes Ascendre. Ascendre comes in. She is wearing all kinds of
jewelry,
cool necklaces, bracelets, anklets, a veil, and nothing else, baby. Not because she's sexy, but because it was a punishment.
Right.
But if anyone can pull it off, it's Ascendre. And she's bringing wine and a good time. But when she sees Aviendra, she nearly shits her. She doesn't have any pants, but she nearly shits her pants that she's not wearing. She's a thief. And I was wondering, as I was reading this, Josh, do you have an answer? We say clan chiefs, but there are 2 thieves. Why aren't they chiefs? Chiefs? Or thieves? I don't know. A little consistency, shall we? English, can we do that for me?
Don't hope for that.
Just a little consistency, English. Thank you. Thieves. She's a thief. It says maiden's justice, baby. We are shoofing necks through and through. You don't interrupt the torchlight committee that we got here. It's no concern of yours. And he's like, yep, you're right. He's like, I don't want to kill a woman ever again. A woman died because of me, and it's a conundrum. There's female forsaken, but what do you know? There it is. I'm not going to kill a woman unless I don't even want to kill one. So chivalry lives, and its name is Althor. He has another conundrum in that Ascendre and Kadere are dark friends.
Dark friends, yep.
All their
finally validated our suspicions from the last book.
Correct. All their guards and riders are probably dark friends, and they probably just assume that Jason Attell is hanging with the dragon because he's infiltrated. He's getting top secret shit. He's doing his shit. He's Mission Impossible kind of stuff. But we know that's not the case. But she cannot expose them because Moraine will blow up. She'll figure out that Jason is tail, and it just won't be good. So he's keeping this all secret as best he can, I guess. But as he says, it's a fine mess. It's a fine mess you've gotten this, Ollie. Oh, I'm sorry, Stanley. That's another Laurel and Hardy thing. It's a fine mess you've gotten this into. Ascendre gets chased out by Aviendra. She's like, leave the wine. Go run.
You rat.
Yeah. Sorta gross.
7 times she's tried to sneak into his bed.
7 times. And she got beat last time. Like whipped.
Switched.
Why is she so persistent? I mean, is this one of her orders? Hey, you gotta fuck the dragon. She's like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, he was checking her out repeatedly, and she caught him on their journey when he was riding his horse. So, whether he thinks that he's led her on or not, he has.
Yeah, I guess you're right, and he does think about that too. He says 7 times she tried to reach me. She must have learned that he interceded for her. No doubt to her way of thinking. If he's willing to do that for a smoky look and a smile, what might he do for more? He said he'd rather have a scorpion in his bed, which the bass player from the Scorpions is like, yeah. Get it? Actually, he's like, da, because they're German. There is a drinking obligation whenever someone laughs aloud to themselves for something they think about. Rand chuckled to himself. So, and he actually laughed aloud earlier on something that we didn't like. So, we're going to do that. And before we get into the last drinking obligation. So he's in bed. He goes in. And he's funny now. He's like, the way he seals his dreams with spirit. Says it's almost automatic to him now. And he's like, yeah, why don't I blow out the candles and then why don't I just do this shit with the power? I know again. I can do that. He chuckles to himself. And then it's cold. And here's our drinking obligation. Sticking one hand under his coat, he fingered the half-healed scar on his side. This is prefacing to him having a very sexy dream. So I think this was done intentionally.
I think you're right.
And then so sleep finally came. And with it, safely protected dreams. Safe from the wise ones or anyone else. Not protected from his own thoughts, though. 3 women invaded them continuously. Not Ascendre, except in a brief nightmare that nearly woke him. By turns, he dreamed of Elaine and Min and Aviendra. By turns and together. Only Elaine had ever looked at him as a man, but all 3 saw him as who he was, not what he was. Aside from the nightmares, they were all pleasant dreams.
So, Rand has 2 of the stigmata so far. The wound in his side and the scars in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
When's he going to get the crown?
That we're going to have to read and find out about that. But let's sex stream.
Sex stream it up, baby.
Yeah, he was doing all of them. He ran
all in separate and together.
He was fingering his breeches and separate and together.
No, he was fingering his stigmata.
His finger is holy wound. that might be vaginal shaped. I mean, that's
Yeah.
you know,
Dark China.
dark. So yeah, 7 times she tried to fuck get in. Is there anything that I missed about this chapter or the prior 2 that we wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we covered it.
Who's your favorite person that we read about these 3 chapters? Who do you enjoy reading about?
I think Rand's the most.
Rand?
Yeah. He's not we've transitioned away from Rand as abstract subject to others' vision and back to Rand as subject himself via his own world. And that's just nice. Like the whole last novel, Rand was almost only ever objectified. And we never really saw him as a subject within his own perspective.
Okay.
So it's nice to get back to him as a human being.
Right. Horny and a little curious and yet still kind of powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rand is I think he's handling things well so far.
Yeah, seems that way.
All right. Yeah, I think so. Randy.
Nice FartVader.
Well, he's in a room full of chicks. I mean, a house full of chicks. And they all want to, like, take baths with him and stuff.
Right.
He's like, get out. And they're like, hee. That would bug the fuck out of me. Like, I'm being respectful to your culture. Just leave me be. I'm shy. Dummy. All right, let's go and wrap this up. Man.
Yeah, man.
Josh, you are the best. We miss you, Ryan, and we miss you, Kay.
Yeah, we do. And Todd.
And Todd. We miss Todd. There's a
I mean, you're a bastard, but we miss you.
Yeah, you bastard. This has been The Way of the Leaf. We do this every Tuesday and on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern. We have a spoiler show. So we may talk about some of this stuff, but touch it about what Josh just talked about, but actually address it in a spoiler manner and laugh at him. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Discord. We have a Patreon page, Way of the Leaf. If you want to support the channel, that's a good way to do it. Until next week, I guess. Josh, you get to read, you filthy animal.
I look forward to it.
I love you and I'm proud of you.
Likewise. Thanks.
And as Ryan would say, run for your
lives.
That is The Way of the Leaf. Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.